your legacy champion, Kelvin Wallace.
Next on Eternal Durdles.
Hello and welcome to the holiday season of Eternal Durdles. This December, we are celebrating the holiday season by posting a video every single weekday in December. That means 5 days worth of content every week. As you can imagine, that's a huge lift. It's basically like a second job for me at this point. So if you can support us by going to patreon.com/eternaldurdles, that would be much appreciated. As always, the show is free, but you can get ad-free content on Patreon. You also will get, starting January again, a bonus episode from us every week. And without further ado, I just wanted to thank everybody who's already a patron. And here's the show.
Hello and welcome to Eternal Durdles. I'm your host, Zac Clark. And with me this week, very special guest, Kelvin Wallace, the champion for the legacy champion for Eternal Weekend 2024. Kelvin, welcome to the show, man.
All right, thank you. Thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure talking about Magic.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we could fill up hours. We're not gonna fill up too much time, but I do want to. Your run was spectacular because not a lot of people get the full story. You know, they just, this guy won. Here's the deck he was playing. But your run in particular was very interesting because you lost your first round, then rattled off 13 wins after that.
Yep, 13 in a row. 0-1 to 13-1.
And your overall record was 25-5, which is obnoxious.
In games. Yeah,
you were just 2-0ing people off the just whoops. I got it again. That's amazing. So to that end, we want to talk about the deck. We want to talk about what happened during your only loss of the day, and then we're going to break down the top 8. So first off, tell everybody about the deck that you were playing.
Eternal Durdles is proud to be sponsored by Moxfield.com. Moxfield is the best deck building website on the internet. You can find all of my and Phil's decks in links below, including decks from this episode. And if you do, you'll be directly supporting the channel.
Well, the deck we were playing was a build of Mystic Forge combo that came out of the Seattle Legacy Gamers kind of internal testing team. One person dubbed it Team Ponder Sucks because we were notably all dirtily either control players or Delver players normally, but then everyone's just off Ponders this Mystic Forge deck is largely broken. And the innovation we brought to it is that we were playing a mud deck without City of Traders. So we were playing the Commander land, literally Commander lands and Ancient Tomb for the most part. So We're playing the Tron mana base, using a bunch of Urza's lands because that was our way to beat Null Rod. Our lands would tap for 10 mana on turn 4. And then we also, I think our sideboard was very well designed for the stuff we're about to attack, and we had a few main deck tech targets. So I think we brought our own build of the Mystic Forge combo deck.
So it was a little bit rogue off of the normal build because of the mana base.
Yeah, I think it was a recognized A tier deck. It was definitely an A tier deck based on play rates, but it was our build of it. I think took it over the top to a format warping or even tournament warping choice for that weekend. Yeah.
And you guys put 3 people into the top 8, right?
We don't put 3. So my testing team involved was John Barber and I. The second place finisher was not involved in our testing team.
I see.
And was playing a slightly different build, but collectively our team on the team deck had a 77% match win rate across the Swiss.
Amazing. All right. Well, let's talk about that loss that you took in the first round. So what was that all about?
So I was definitely a little tired in the morning. I played 9 rounds of Vintage the day before and acquired a Tinker, but I was a little frazzled. Did some gathering, did not go to bed early, and sat down. My opponent revealed a Yorion. I was just like, okay, that's good. I'm tired, waking up. I have a good matchup. I got my Grim Monolith Thoughtseize on turn 1. I was like, okay. And then I died at 1 life short on mana with 5 keys in play. So it's just one of the things my opponent made the correct assessment of my hand with Thoughtseizing me, and then I was short mana because I had no monolith on top of these keys. And I definitely didn't play the sharpest, but I have an excuse. In the middle of round 1, for some reason, a bunch of pop music started blaring over the loudspeaker. So I was trying to execute my combo, and then it came up, and I was just eyes wide. I was just what is going on? I'm just so checked out of this match. And I was told my opponent, she's you don't have to take any game action if you want to. I'm fine just sitting here until this resolves because neither of us could hear our own thoughts.
Yeah.
And then we were both just distracted.
That was the worst. I attribute my first round loss to that as well.
Yes.
I felt like I had agency in that first game, and that like I what I'm guessing, there always is a cheerleading competition next door to the Magic the Gathering competition, and I'm guessing that like the DJ plugged the socket into the wrong thing, and then they got all their like jock jams. For about 20 minutes, and it was obnoxious.
Yes, that was my excuse. I would have gone 14-0 if it wasn't for that. Like that was the only reason I lost. Okay, but no, all seriousness. So I lost game 1 to a heads up Thoughtseize from my opponent, and then game 2 I mulliganed to a slightly action light but stable mana. It's a D&T matchup. They go after your mana with especially White Orchid Phantom and Wasteland in the new build. So I kept a stable hand, but I was White Orchid Phantom twice and Wastelanded, so I didn't quite have enough mana to win after casting my Karn, because Karn's not a great card in the matchup, mainly because it's 8 mana action instead of 4 mana action.
Yeah.
So I was just unable to win after resolving a Karn downtake for Mystic Forge, cast Mystic Forge, and got beat down by creatures. Yeah. So yeah, started 0-1 in a matchup that was generally favored, and if you looked at the data sheet afterwards, that was the only match Mystic Forge dropped to D&T all weekend.
So, interesting question about that is so how did you internalize that afterwards? You were just like, this was a fluke and I'm going to move on to the next round, or were you like, just my deck's rebelling against me, or like what was your internal process?
I don't think I really ran. I ran like my draws weren't perfect, but it's within normal variances you'd expect from a Magic event. So I mean, it's in the books. You can't go back and change it. So the only thing you can do from there is just to keep winning.
Yeah, just moving forward.
I believed our deck could carry us, and we were very confident that we had a very good chance at least a crop rotation promo, which was like definitely the big prize. That was like I would say anything, if I acquired a crop rotation, that would be a good finish. Everything above that would be gravy. Well, so the thing is, I had a very kind of easy time, so I knew I just had to win. I just had to keep winning, and if I lost, I was out.
Yeah.
So at that point, it was just like I kind of locked back in, got the pop music out of my head, and it's like, okay, I have one option, and it is to win. And it was strategic because, like, notoriously the 0-1 bracket is slightly softer than the 1-0 bracket, so I give myself the best chance to make a run from there.
Yeah, I would say your best chance to make a run undefeated is in the 0-1 bracket after you take that early loss.
Yeah.
To give yourself. I mean, variance. Taken into account here, you wouldn't have done the same had you not won that first round. I mean, just by definition, sure, but like it
was planned.
You know. So let's talk about your top 8, right? So you were obviously first seed here.
I think I was the 3 seed coming into top 8.
Seed. Okay. For some reason, it's showing me the rank of the tournament afterwards and not the rank of the top 8. So who did you play in the first round?
So I played Dominic Vernazza, so I pronounce his name, but he's a New York area player playing Blue Black Frog.
Friend of the show. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it was funny. So we had a local Seattle player named Bill Lee who moved to New York to pursue a job in finance. So he's now a pillar of the New York legacy community, and he told a lot of his crew to cut Norod from the sideboard, so there was not going to be enough Mystic Forge. So he was on.
Agent. You said
exactly. Yeah. So he was on the rail, and I was like looking at him, just like, "Thanks, buddy. I appreciate this one."
Nice. So how does that matchup work out most of the time for you guys?
So we only brought the Forge deck because we had at least our kind of configuration had a plus Frog matchup. So I played against Frog 5 times throughout the Swiss and top 8. And I went 10-0 in games.
Okay. I mean, that's hard to argue with that math.
Yes, and it mainly boiled down to you were very action dense. So Thoughtseize was not the best card against you. There are definitely hands that could be picked apart, but you had that axis of interaction covered. The reanimation threats were generally not fast enough to necessarily kill you. Like you obviously do not want to face a turn 2 Archon or turn 2 Atraxa, but I did beat a turn 2 Archon over the course of the event. And then Atraxa is generally not really that scary, mainly because if I have a Vexing Bauble in play, Atraxa does not necessarily do anything in game 1 anymore. Even to the point where I played against a fairly sharp Frog player in round 9. I resolved a turn 2 ring. He had Entomb Reanimate and still went for Archon over Atraxa because of how irrelevant the Atraxa trigger is. You'd rather go for a line where I hope I brick, and then he kills me faster with Archon of Cruelty.
Yeah.
And,
the extra damage will do it, especially if you're taking
Yep.
2 off of an Ancient Tomb or something like that. That puts you
Yeah.
at 18. You know,
Yeah.
2 swings is what you need.
Yep.
All right, so you 2-0'd that
I did. So it was open deck list, so I was able to see kind of exactly what he was working with. It was a pretty stock build with 2 main deck Brazen Barbers, and my game 1. So my 7 was pretty middling. It was like a turn 3 ring with an Urza Saga and no Bobble, so I just snap shipped that, mainly because the deck is broken enough that it unmulligans very well, and you don't really need to. You can hunt. You can hunt for good hands. It mulligans fairly well. And then I looked. The first 4 cards in my mulligan to 6 were Planar Nexus, Urza's Tower, Vexing Bauble, One Ring. I was like, okay, this game is largely over unless. So I was the 3 seed, so I was on the play, and this game was largely over unless he had exact sequence of Force of Will into Wasteland you. And I think Wastelanding me there would be an absolute sick read, and he would never. It was kind of very hard. It was a play you should almost never make unless you somehow knew it was in my hand.
Yeah.
So if Taxian Probe was legal, maybe things would be different. But my turn 1 Tower into Bauble resolved, and then at that point, just paying 4 mana for a ring on turn 2 with a Bauble in play just meant the game was largely over. Because that's like the one thing about the Tron mana base is that the previous mana base, if you're playing like City of Traders and like even something like Crystal Vein we have tested, is the One Ring doesn't necessarily kill when you untap because you just lack mana. But if you're on the Nexus mana base, it's very easy to just have 7 mana on turn 3 with just your lands. So then between whatever else you draw, you just almost always can convert a ring into a win because of how much mana your lands generate and how it's fairly easy for you to find the right card. It's not like you really need it perfect. You just need any other random Urza land, and then you start cloud posting.
Okay. All right, so you take down that match and you go into the semifinals.
Yeah, so semifinals on camera against Ari Lax. So he did beat the other Forge player on the 2 seed on the draw in the quarterfinals. So he's definitely an experienced and very sharp opponent. And Painter
player Ari Lax, yeah.
Yes, known match player Ari Lax, and also did have a history of let's say winning the matchup previously, and I believe he would take the optimal line in pretty much any scenario. And so I would need to mulligan aggressively as well, because he would be pretty easily assess that a Urza Saga Ancient Tomb hand is almost never going to be good enough. So I was expecting that his hand would evolve at minimum a turn 3 kill, and very likely he would be going like very low to look for a turn 2 kill type hand. So on my end, I luckily just had a very good 7 in game 1 of the semifinals, where I pretty much would not have kept any hand that didn't at least have game against a turn 2 kill. So that would be turn 2, Kozilek's Mana equals 2, turn 2, Crying the Great Creator, turn 2, One Ring. Would have be exactly what I'm looking for. Even though the One Ring's not ideal, mainly because it just goes can just grind some my upkeep, but it's much harder for them to have 3 mana on their upkeep with how their mana base is built. Yeah. Is that if they go turn 1 Ancient Tomb Painter, Ancient Tomb Grindstone, they will not have 3 mana in your upkeep without some additional card. So my 7 was very good. It was just Saga Petal Bauble Ancient Tomb Kozilek's Command, and that's just easily cast Kozilek's Command X equals 2 on turn 2 to exile Painter, and hand was good. Locked it in. Ari predictably went very low looking for a powerful hand, and then presented a kill on turn 2 that was disrupted by Kozilek's Command. And I would have very easily died in this game if not for being on the play due to my seeding.
Okay, yeah. I mean, sometimes that helps.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yes. I mean, I was on the play the entire top 8 because I was a 3 seed, and the 1 and the 2 seed both lost in the quarters.
Okay. So let's talk about your sideboard plan for this particular matchup.
Yeah, so the sideboard plan against Painter is pretty straightforward because Vexing Bauble is largely just a blank. It doesn't really do a lot. So those were 4 easy cuts. Karn the Great Creator is a very good card. Beseiju is also the card that I mainly brought in. So bringing in the Beseiju to both answer potential the one of Ari side, the one of No Rod and Ari sideboard, the multiple copies of Blood Moon to potentially bring in, while also disrupting the Painter combo. So I cut all four Vexing Baubles and a copy of Urza Saga and a copy of Voltaic Key for the 3 and then one additional card for the 3 Besagus, the 2 Dismembers, and then the 2 Silent Gravestones to turn off Welder Shenanigans.
Important point about Besaju also is that it does not lose to Pyroblast.
Exactly. That's what I kind of a small delta between me and the rest of my testing team in selecting our sideboard cards is my fellow topic competitor John was playing extra portable holes and Static Prison as his sideboard card of choice because it interacted better against Karn the Great Creator in particular. I was fairly cold to a Karn and just had to attack it, but I had more outs to specifically Consign to Memory, Pyroblast, Force of Will, and even I had more green source in my deck against No Rod because I could float mana and channel Besage at instant speed. So got slightly rewarded for my choice there, especially with the matchups I got with playing against 5 Frog players and 2 Painter players over the course of the event.
I was going to say, did you have any mirror matches during the event?
No, luckily no. I did not. So
it seems like a worst read then. Yeah.
The worst matchup in the format is Forge on the Draw.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I was very happy that Ari won because if he lost, it would be 2 versus 3, where I would be on the draw against a Mystic Forge combo mirror.
Yeah.
So I appreciate Ari for winning the quarterfinals on that one.
All right, let's go to the finals. You're in the last round. What's your mentality going into the last round after you've run, 23 games or 20, like something
this
like
would be this would be the 23rd match over the course of the weekend.
Yeah.
So I finished my semifinal fairly early, and then the other semifinal match hadn't really started by the time I finished my semifinal match. So I got to just walk around the convention center a little bit. So I walked over to my the remaining testing teammates who were watching the stream on the TV that the judge staff set up, and the matchup was a Nadu mirror. It was a Nadu breakfast versus the Nadu not Elves, the Nadu 4 Elves stack.
Shuffled combo, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So I would much rather prefer to play against the breakfast version rather than the Elves version. The Elves version is a significantly worse matchup just because they have 9 copies of Collector Roof instead of 0 in the main.
Got it. Yeah.
And additionally, I think the Nadu Elves deck just simply plays a lot better against Forge because they can just jam, they're faster. And then also the counter hate they have is just infinite Collector Roofs, while the counter hate the breakfast deck is Force of Will, which I've been kind of designed to beat all day. And also Vexy Bobble doesn't win versus like a true like breakfast combo where they mill their deck because it counters the Dread Return, but the existence of like Memory Journey means they simply just have to pass the turn, put the Oracle back in their deck, and then kill you the following turn.
Yeah.
So that matchup is far superior, but also because the text calls Lex command has like either Excellent Graveyard or forcing a player with no cards in their library to draw is It's very relevant. So unluckily, so Bailey ended up winning that match. So I was playing against the worst matchup for me in the finals, but at least I got the play and I knew what I was doing. I knew how to approach the matchup because we were discussing it beforehand while I was waiting for the other semifinal to conclude. So it was, and also, knowing the matchup in that spot was very important, mainly because of how you mulligan. The 7-card hand I kept game 1 on the play was simply make 12 mana on turn 2, cast Kozilek's command X equals 10. That hand, largely, I would have probably just mulliganed against Frog. Even though it is a theoretical turn 2 kill, did not beat Force of Will, did not beat Daze, did not beat Waste. It could beat a Wasteland, but also did not beat Thoughtseize. Yeah. So since it was an all-in, just a jam hand, I was only able to keep it because I knew the matchup, and then it was an open deckless portion of the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could see not, mulliganing something where you're just like, well, I'm not doing anything on the first turn, on the second turn, aside from making a bunch of guys. Or yes. What did you do? You just drew and made guys. Right?
So I drew and made guys. It was so I was pretty quickly able to just count how much mana I had, and it was a very important number because X equals 10 mana is exactly Karn Lattice. So I was looked at this okay, this hand is broken because with just the cards I have in my hand, it's X equals 10, and that means if I find a Karn in my top 10 cards, the game ends on the spot.
Yeah.
And since I knew the matchup, I knew it was okay, the Karn Lattice is just good. If I hit, I win. And then also Mystic Forge off the top would also probably just be good because I just stack a bunch of random artifacts and go Forge into whatever and eventually find something relevant. And then if I found a Karn later after casting all these cards off Forge, Karn could just get needled named Nomad and I can reassess on the following turn. So that
Got it.
hand was exactly what you need to win that matchup, because I'm pretty sure pretty much, can't really think of a capable hand in from the Nadu side that is not either turn 2 Nadu combo or turn 2 Green Sun Zenith or Collector Roof, knowing that you're playing against Forge and with an open deck list. So I kind of very much got lucky and needed that turn 2 kill in order to steal the game 1 without that much effort, because like the Forge can definitely win. It's just not exactly where you want to be.
Yeah. And the other good part of that whole like X equals 10 situation is like if that resolves, right? You know that the Karn and the Mystic Forge are resolving.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So like, oh, X is 10, that's fine. What are you going to follow it up with? You know?
Yeah. I mean, that was the thing. Is like I kept the Hanks. I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I'm playing against. It will resolve, and then if I find the Karn, the game ends. And then as soon as I made 10 dudes, I like took my time to make sure like I scried correctly. It's like, okay, I'm on camera. It's not like shortcut.
Yeah.
Karn, I was like, I'd like to Karn Lattice you. My opponent's like, whoop, after that. Cause he knew what was up with exactly 10 mana in play on turn 2.
Yeah, the taking your time part is a big thing that I have to like. I always tell myself, like, especially when you're in a situation where you're not timed, is like, just give yourself a beat to like think about. Don't just jam all your cards up as soon as your like opponent presents something that seems unbeatable. Like one time during the weekend in a side event, I was playing Cephalid Breakfast, and my opponent just like was on Painter and milled me out, and I had like a green mana open, and I was just like, I just scooped up my cards immediately, and I was like, what am I doing? Like, I could. That was the side event win. Like after I put in like 100 matches over the last 2 months. It's like that's the most basic like moment, but like it was great that it happened in a side event that I could be like, okay, like, dude, chill.
Yes.
On that.
Oh no, we did that. We did that a lot in testing. The one thing that we messed up a lot, like, at least I messed up a lot in testing, was resolving the One Ring, drawing back, and then trying to Kozilek's command myself to make spawns with One Ring protection. I was like, so I definitely learned about that. You can hear me in the semifinal against Ari go cast the One Ring, trigger whole priority with the texture like draw a card just in case I drew the Kozilek's command, so I could just kill him with my Flush Raker in play.
Yeah,
but didn't top deck. I was like, okay, the trigger resolves now. I have protection, mainly just because that is just an absolute. It's a really silly mistake. It looks really bad on like let's say from a judge aspect. Like it just, if my opponent did that, I would be instantly like this guy's cheating. So I was trying to very particular to not have that situation come up again. I made that mistake a lot in figuring out the deck.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, you win the tournament, and you can see on Anurag's stream of it, like you're pretty excited.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, that's like the one thing is I've had a lot of near misses playing Magic. So this is like definitely the first time that I've kind of got over the finish line event this large. Obviously 1,200 players, so you don't get to win that every day. And the best part is the whole time I had my rail with me, had a bunch of guys staying out late supporting. Mainly it was the Legacy of the North crew who drive down from Toronto every year. So I used to live in Toronto, so all those guys are really close, and they're definitely the highlight of Eternal Weekend, is just hanging out with those guys. And
we have a whole episode with those cats coming up too. That'll be really fun.
Oh, I look forward to it. Those guys are really funny, and they just love playing Legacy. They're probably the most passionate group I've seen. They just go out to play and have fun. There's definitely not they're just very different than the Seattle types, which are just like analytical. Let's win at Legacy. Now the Legacy of the North guys are like, those are the guys you want to have an Airbnb with.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so are you normally a Mystic Forge player?
No, not even remotely.
So yeah, spoiler alert. You told me that you had a sort of mission for this tournament. You and maybe some other people had a mission during this tournament. So you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So I started in this format about 10 years ago playing Ant. I've played a lot of Delver. I love playing Delver. I love Resolving Ponder and Brainstorm. I've played like every control deck that's ever been good. Played some little bit of Countertop in my time. Played a little bit of check pile. Played like all those Euro control piles. I love Ponder and Brainstorm. I wasn't the biggest fan of Mystic Forge coming to it when my teammate said it was broken. But we identified the card of the tournament was Vexing Bauble, and that card is obnoxious and is actually, I think, one of the worst printings WotC's had in a while. So our mission coming into this event was to get this card banned and get this card removed from Legacy in order to improve the format overall. That was my mission. I think we did our best in that we put 3 copies. There were 3 copies, 2 of which were from our testing house. We had another at 9.2, another at 8.3.
3 copies of the deck, but 15 copies of the card in the top 8.
15 copies of Vexing Bauble in the top 8. Yeah, I think that card is miserable.
We came out the like top 32 analysis as well, and we have Matt Chow coming on in a few episodes to like really break down numbers. And that's one of the numbers that I wanted to have him check out.
No, I love Matt Chow's content. He's also a Legacy of the North contributor, great Toronto guy, and really good massaging the data and making it easier to approach.
Yeah. I was telling him he's the Steve Kornacki of the Magic the Gathering Legacy community.
Yes. Oh yeah, no, he's a great guy. Yeah, he needs more YouTube subscribers. I was like looking at it. I can't believe he only had like 450 YouTube subscribers. Like we're
gonna do our best to change that.
No, he's definitely one of the best data channels for the Legacy format, or even his analysis of Modern is also really good.
Yeah. So you won the match. You won the tournament. You take home the crop rotations, but the real bug is that who wins Eternal Weekend the year you don't get a painting? What's up with that?
I know.
Man?
I run so bad. Like I definitely have a little bit of a problem in that if you talk to me like middle of events, I love my bad beat stories. I love complaining. I love my complaint equity. I probably complain a little too much. I do talk about my bad beats a lot. It feels cathartic, but I think this is a bad beat that I've earned. Like the first thing I said when it's finally sunk in, I had some time to type when I won the tournament was run so bad. Decided to win Eternal Weekend the one year there isn't a painting.
Yeah.
And I hope I did hear some behind the scenes things about how the kind of extensive efforts that Nick Koss and the Card Titan team did to try to secure a painting, even if they had to pay for themselves. And Nick Koss is the MVP. So I think he did everything he could. I definitely do not direct any ire at Card Titan over that. It is largely a WotC decision, and hopefully they can come to their senses and make, even if not for me, but even for the future champions. Like it's like if the Masters didn't have the green jacket, it's simply not the same tournament without the painting.
One thing, so we had Nick on because I got a chance to interview him at the tournament because we wanted to talk to him about logistics and stuff like that. And the one thing he said is that they did add an extra 10K to the prize pool. I don't know if that went specifically to you, but on through the prizes, there was an additional like payout because they didn't have to secure a painting, so they wanted to make sure to spread that out.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Like this pretty well prized event. It just feels bad being the one guy. Like I would still feel bad, but I feel less bad if I was say second or eighth.
Just take that money and buy a painting, man.
Yes. I like the one thing is like I don't really play for the money. Like it's for the Magic is not a plus EV hobby. Like I'm not going to Eternal Weekend to min-max. I'm going to Eternal Weekend to jam a Legacy, and it's for the vibes. Yeah,
the gathering, as it were.
It's for the gathering, exactly. Yeah. So like the win meant far more than the money, and like I would want that painting. I would prefer to like have it like right here, so everyone can see it, and just like have it on my walls. Like I won that. Yeah, my money is definitely not the issue is like feel like it's a $45,000 painting or whatever. So that's whatever the previous years gone to. Like that's not what matters. It's
you're not getting rid of that painting anyhow. Like come on.
No. It's definitely
sold his green jacket to somebody. Get out of here.
No, exactly. Like that's what matters most, especially with formats like Legacy.
Yeah. All right. Well, Kelvin, thanks for coming on. It's been enlightening to talk to you about your run and we hope to see some really some more finishes from you in the future.
Oh yeah, I mean I have a few. I've been what's in like the proverbial the tournament cuck chair a lot, and like the X2, just like looking in at top 8 and just being like the first miss.
So it feels good. Mr. Ninth Place for a while.
I love ninth place is my favorite place because it's like you don't win, but you get the most complaint equity.
Oh yeah, I'm right there with you. I come from a long line of dissenters, so I 100% understand the complaint equity situation.
I love the complaint equity.
The story I was telling all weekend was in the third round. I got out Nadu and I had a Narcomoeba because that was what my life was like that at that particular point in the game. And I got a Shuko out, and I activated Shuko 4 times, and I popped over the other Narcomoeba, a Memories Journey, a Thassa's Oracle, and a Dread Return. And I was just like, okay, I get it. We're not winning this tournament. I understand now. I know what's going on. As I took my 3rd loss.
So sometimes the magic gods do not like look favorably upon you. They just like smite you as like this guy deserves to lose this.
I just have to continue putting up sacrifices to the legacy gods, and maybe next year.
Yeah, I know. It's like definitely that's like the mentality you have to have. It's like you can run bad this event, but there will be more, and then you always get another opportunity.
Yeah,
it's like
Well,
so it's.
Well, thanks everybody for watching. Again, we're gonna have an episode on the weekday every day this December. You can find all of Kelvin's links below. If you want to support the show, you can go to patreon.com/eternalturtles. And with that said, thank you all for watching, and we will catch you probably tomorrow.
Before you go, I need some help. Please subscribe to this channel and do your part to help sustain the legacy content ecosystem. Just subscribing to this channel goes a long way to reminding YouTube that people love and support this format. Now, if you really want to go the extra mile, you should think about supporting us through Patreon. Both the links for subscription and Patreon are right here. And if you're listening on an audio format, you can go to patreon.com/eternaldurtles. Thanks so much for watching.